how hot or how cold it is. Temperature, did we look at the temperature yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah. Humidity, well, we didn't really look at humidity. We didn't have any tools or instruments to use to study humidity. But yeah, we have some of the same data that meteorologists use. Let's go on to page 12, tools of the trade. So this section is going to give you some information about the tools that the meteorologist actually uses to predict the weather. Russ. Someone I haven't heard from. Thank you guys for raising your hands. I appreciate that. Sierra.
Tools of the trade. Forecasting weather is really quite tricky because no one really knows what the weather will do. There isn't one size fits all method of collecting data that meteorologists can use to make accurate forecasts. So, at weather stations like the one shown below, meteorologists select different kinds of data using many types of instruments. The data provided by these tools is what meteorologists use to make their forecast. Have you ever seen an instrument that measures weather in some way?
What instrument have we seen and we have used that measures weather in some way? Thermometer, yeah, we've used the thermometer. So they're saying that weather, it's not always going to be right, as we talked about yesterday. When they make their predictions, it's not always going to be correct because there's so much data that they have and so many different instruments that they're using to try and get it as close to correct as possible. Page 13, we're going to look at the instruments. Okay?
There is a good chance that you have seen a phenomenon. Hayes or meteorologists use thermometers to measure the air's temperature and fog masses of cold and warm air that can affect pressure systems. Used to measure wind speed.
Anemometer
allows meteorologists to see in which direction and how quickly the air is moving. They of course spinning cups are attached at the top of it.
Anemometer.
Unless the wind speed is zero, the cups spin. As the wind speed increases, the cups spin faster.
So what did we use to tell if it was windy yesterday? What did we use to tell if there was wind, Abby? The flag. Yeah, we looked at the flag to see if the flag was blowing in the wind. Was there any wind yesterday morning when we went out? No, there wasn't. But you know what? Yesterday afternoon when I went to class, I was looking at a flagpole, and the flag, it was flapping in the wind. It was definitely blowing in the wind. So I was like, it's a little different from the morning to the afternoon, how the weather changed and the wind increased. Next person who would like to read for us, Logan.
Have you ever seen a weather vane on top of a building? A weather vane shows the wind direction. The arrow of a weather vane indicates the direction from which the wind is blowing. Wind blows from high pressure areas to those with low pressure. A hydrometer
Very good.
measures the amount of humidity or water vapor in the air. Water vapor makes up the airfield and makes up clouds, fog, rain, haze. Do you have a barometer in your home? It is used to measure air pressure. Remember the importance of air pressure. When it changes, the weather does too. Most times when the weather is cloudy, the pressure is low. And most times when the weather is clear, the pressure is high.
Very good. So did we use any of those two instruments yesterday? Did we measure the humidity or the air pressure? No, we didn't have any instruments that we could use for that with our senses or our observations. So those are instruments that meteorologists can use. And we're also going to go on to one more instrument that Cole told us about earlier, the radar. Cole, did you want to start reading on page 14 for us?
Sure.
observation on land. We have learned about how huge Earth's atmosphere is. It's so enormous that no one single country can monitor. It is so it's so many countries around the world created the world.
Meteorological
organization. In 1951, members of the WMO have the responsibility of measuring the reporting atmospheric conditions. They then share the information that they have collected with other members to aid in forecasting future
conditions.
conditions.
Good, thank you. Let's go on for us. I have a recommendation, Nick.
New weather forms every second, so conditions must be observed
Constantly.
constantly. Weather observations take place on land, in the air, and at sea, often using tools made more advanced and high-tech than thermometers, weather vanes, or barometers. One such high-tech tool is the Doppler radar. Doppler radar tracks the air's movement by sending out sound waves and measuring the frequency at which they reach their turn. These measurements help meteorologists to warn us in advance about bad weather or bad weather. For example, Doppler radars help meteorologists see a tornado coming. Remember how the TV meteorologist forecast on page 10 include the phrase Doppler indicated. All that means is that the tornado has been stopped using Doppler radar. These are more than 150 Doppler radar stations across the United States. They constantly track the wind, moisture, temperatures, and the upper atmosphere.
Very good. So yeah, that's pretty neat. It sends out sound waves and it can indicate when there's some bad weather forming. Were we able to do that? Did we send out sound waves yesterday when we made predictions? No, that'd be pretty cool if we could. But no, we don't have the technology here through our observations and our senses to do that. So I want you to hold on to your forecasting the weather book. I passed out a weather predicting tool sheet. So when we get back, you're going to list the weather predicting tools that we found and read about in the book. And then you're going to describe the tool. How is it used? How does it work? What does it measure? Okay? So I want you to now get your weather prediction data chart, something to write on, something to write with. And when we go out today, I want you to be thinking about your predictions so far. Everyone sit down, we're not leaving yet. Thank you. I want you to see if you notice any patterns forming from yesterday to today. What patterns do you notice? What parts of nature did you use outside? Make sure we're writing that down. What parts of nature? What are you using? What do you see, smell? What can you, we're not really using our taste here, touch, different things. Our feeling, what we can feel. Think about what's difficult about predicting without the tools that meteorologists have. What's difficult? What would be easier if we had those barometers and a Doppler radar, would that make our predictions easier and more precise and correct? So think about that. Before we go outside, what are some things we need to remember when we go outside? Cole?
We need to look at the flagpole and see how fast you think winds are going.
Okay, so we need to make our observations about wind. Abby, what else, when we're going outside, how should we act? How should we be acting outside? What things do we need to remember in that sense?
Mature.
Acting mature, Avery?
There are other classes going on, so we need to respect and be as quiet as possible.
Right, we talked about that yesterday. We don't need to be yelling, we don't need to be screaming to our friends. What else, Stationing?
Like they're going like on the playground.
Right, we're all gonna stay together and use our observations from around us together. Anything else that we need to remember while we're out there? Logan?
We could listen for the sounds.
Listen to the sounds if we're quiet enough, right? We need to be focusing on our observations. I shouldn't hear side conversations about what we're having for lunch, what we're doing after school, what happened on the bus. We need to be focused on our observations while we're out there since we only have such a short time out there, okay? Okay, so let's line up now. Make sure you have a pencil, your prediction chart,